Hey folks, this is Chris Lucas of TheProtestantView.com. I'm also known on YouTube as Liquid Smooth, and I also have a channel on YouTube called The Protestant View. Um, let's see here. As far as my Liquid Smooth channel, people, it's not an ego thing. I just used to be a DJ, still sorta am, and that's why I had that name. But anyway, I went to, as you can see on the screen, um, this is Steve Deace's website. And a curious thing I noticed today was that he deleted 3 of my comments. And another curious thing I noticed about his site is that, doesn't seem, well, at first, I was like, well, it doesn't seem to get that many comments, and maybe he just deletes a lot of comments. But I thought my comments really didn't deserve deletion because they contributed to everything that him and his guest kept going on and on about. Going, I don't know why this is happening. And I'm referring to when they were talking about amnesty the other day. And as some of you may know, I did a video on amnesty maybe a week or 2 ago. And I pointed out, who was behind amnesty. It's the Vatican. So I basically just posted these comments on Steve Deace's site, but I had also already sent him an email, talking about similar things before, and he never responded back. And, one thing about my email was I was pointing out that, it's like, and at this time, I didn't really, I give Steve the benefit of the doubt about being a shill. And I also think, some people, maybe they never, heard of what I have to say, Maybe they don't read the same books I read. So, I give him the total benefit of the doubt. And I was just like, I really like your show and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but, one thing I like to say is, it's kind of offensive when you keep saying, Catholics, hate Obamacare and hate abortion, but you never say anything about Protestants hating Obamacare or abortion. It's always Catholics. Like they're the big moral leaders of the world. When I said, in actuality, Steve, there's some reports that, the Catholic Church perfected abortion, and there's a bunch of babies' skulls up under, what was it, like a monastery or something like that? I can't remember off the top of my head, but, I was like, it's kind of, here it is, it's like, you got all these baby skulls and skeletons up under, some sort of Catholic building. So obviously, they might have been doing abortions there. And yeah, so it's not like Protestants were doing this, and I mean, in fact, it's like, when the Catholics used to try to force their religion on Protestants, if a Protestant wouldn't convert, or a Protestant was caught, teaching something, like the Lord's Prayer in English or something like that, well, a baby gets ripped out of the mother's womb. And they did it. So if they hate abortion, why were they ripping babies out of people's wombs? And I mean, who would do this? What Christian would even do this? I mean, what Christian even does this to a bad person? I mean, has Steve Deace read the Inquisitions? But yeah, he still keeps going on and on and on about, these Catholics. And it's like the next day, folks, it's like, I'm like, well, maybe he didn't read my letter. But it's like, I swear, it seemed like the next day, he did this even more so. Where he keeps referring to Catholics and never mentions Protestants. Like, it's almost like he doubled it. Like, to just kind of rub it in my face, but in kind of an obscure way. To where maybe only I would know. Because no one else would probably know. Why was the next day, why was he suddenly, talking about, Catholics this more than I hear him ever talk about it. Well, that might have been why, folks. And then, the other day, I'm listening to a show, and let me see if I can find what show it is. Okay, I think it's called, A Few Good Men on 5/16/13. You know, about 20 minutes into this show, he's got a guest on called Steve Stockman, who's a congressman from Texas, and he's talking about amnesty and about how, you know, the last time amnesty was passed, you know, California became Democrat. And, you know, basically, during Steve Deace's whole show, it was like, why does Rubio want to pass amnesty when it would seem like it would hurt the Republican Party? He says it makes, you know, basically makes no sense. I mean, they say a lot of really good things, you know, folks. If you want to listen to the show, they say a lot of good things. But I'm pointing out to you that, you know, Steve Deace is still, you know, what people would call controlled opposition. So he says a lot of things. He really sounds like he's on your side. And it's like, sadly, folks, I mean, I don't know where the Protestants are that are speaking out, because it's like, they should, I mean, people, like, I mean, it's just sad that there aren't more Protestants that even sound like this. And so, but the one thing about all of this that is disturbing is that, you know, he has these people on talking about amnesty, and then Steve Deace is like, yeah, I don't know why Rubio would do this. I don't know why. Well, I wrote these comments. I wrote I wrote 3 comments. One was to a person, and I was explaining why, you know, Steve King might, you know, not even bother caring about Monsanto, because I said, you know, well, Steve King had a chance to talk on Steve Deace's show, and he didn't even talk about who's really behind this amnesty or why the amnesty is really happening. And I know Steve King knows, Congressman Steve King from Iowa knows. You know why I know he knows this and who's behind amnesty? Because Steve King is Roman Catholic. Because I think that's what he said on the show, is that he's a Roman Catholic. So, and I'm pretty sure he would know that the Vatican pours millions of dollars into amnesty and trying to push amnesty. And what are most Mexicans? And see, this is part of my comments. I'm saying all this stuff in my comments. I said, what are most Mexicans? I said 90% of them are Roman Catholic. So I said, and so when California, and they said this on their show, they said California went from Republican to Democrat right after the last amnesty passed. Okay, what were most of those people in California? They were from Mexico. They were Mexicans from Mexico. And 90% of them were Roman Catholic. Now put 2 and 2 together. And this is what I asked him and told him. And this is my comment that got deleted. Well, one of my, part of my comments that got deleted. Now, why would he delete these comments? Because, I see other people, saying, various things. You had like a gay man getting mad at him. And, so he lets people's comments who are mad at him stick on there. But mine was gone. Even though I had very valid arguments. How can you, it looks like that, Steve. It looks like, that's what happened during amnesty. Mexicans who are 90% Catholic went to California when the amnesty happened. Amnesty happens, boom, it becomes Democrat. Rubio, a Roman Catholic, pushing amnesty. And sometimes people, they will have fake Protestants and Protestants that are part of the ecumenical movement, and they will talk about amnesty and gun control and things like that. Now, granted, he had a Catholic on there, Steve King, who was talking against amnesty, But folks, I always wonder if this is just like kind of a show thing, kind of to make it look like oh, we got some legitimate Catholics out there. But look, there's no legitimate Protestants even talking against this. Meanwhile, the few people who are quote unquote look like Protestants, don't ever say they're Catholics, like they're Methodist, they're Presbyterian, they're Southern Baptist. See, they never speak out against amnesty hardly. But these politicians never speak out against amnesty, who are these other, but folks are tied to the ecumenical movement. And behind the scenes, I think they really are Roman Catholic, just like George Bush. George Bush never said he was Catholic. He claimed to be Baptist and claimed to be something else, Episcopal or something like that at some point. But he never claimed to be Catholic, but yet he's going to Catholic church, going to Mass, bowing to the Pope. Come on, folks, he's a Catholic. He really, at heart, he's a Catholic. You just don't go to Catholic church and do all that unless you are Catholic. That's why he even became president. That's why he passed the Patriot Act. Reagan pushed for gun control legislation. Reagan also helped a Vatican embassy be created. And the Vatican has been in the news saying that they want the Catholics to support Obama on gun control. Because whenever the Vatican says it supports Obama on gun control, that's a message to Catholics that they need to support Obama on gun control. And folks, like I said, you'll have some people in office like George Bush, but they'll be like senators, congressmen, stuff like that, and you'll have them in these seats, and publicly they don't say they're Catholic, but yet they'll never talk about amnesty. They'll never bring up things, and then you'll be like hearing another Catholic like Steve King talk against amnesty and go, man, this is just going to give it to the Democrats, once this passes. But see, folks, this is to create an illusion that, so you don't get caught up figuring out their plan, because they're going to wind up getting this passed. I believe they'll wind up getting this passed somehow. But this is also, the Roman Catholic Church isn't blamed for passing it, because there is information getting out there showing how much the Vatican gets, and showing that they're a way that they're actually getting government funds to fund promoting amnesty from our own government, the United States' own government. And folks, I'm just trying to wake you up to this. And before I go, I just want to show you a little proof that he actually deleted my comments. Alright, as you can see, now, I did all this on Thursday, and what I did was I had an old, I had an old window open on my other computer. And it still had it from when there was 167 comments, so it still had the shot. I hadn't refreshed my screen from a day ago, from yesterday, and yesterday it had 167 comments on it. And I just put the date right here. I hovered over the time so you could see the date, so you could see that, I'm doing all this today, but which is Thursday, May 23rd. But you can see he had 167 comments. And I go back later, it's 164 comments. So he deleted it. As you can see at the top of the screen, it says stevedeace.com. And this is part of what I wrote.